What happens when you make a mistake? Do you encourage yourself, telling yourself, it's not a big deal, you're human, mistakes are the stepping stones to success? Or do you feel mortified, want to hide from the world, feeling like you are such an idiot? Welcome to Mind Matters. I'm your host, Dr. Nina Savelle-Rocklin, here to help you turn your subconscious into your superpower. Today, we're talking about that horrible, awful, terrible voice that tortures us, our inner critic. You know that voice. It is the one that is always so quick to point out your flaws, remind you of your failures, and question your worth. Well, today you are going to learn to silence that critic and turn it into a friend. By the end of this episode, you will have practical strategies to transform your self-talk and boost your self-compassion. Your inner critic can really damage your self-esteem and affect so many areas of your life. Like with Jordan. She taught elementary school. Her students adored her. Her colleagues respected her. But Jordan did not feel great about herself. Social situations made her feel super awkward, like she didn't fit in. And she always felt like, maybe people didn't really like her. This led Jordan to overthink every social interaction she had. She would spend hours replaying conversations in her mind, focusing on every perceived misstep or misspeaking or anything that she thought was an awkward moment. She could never just relax and enjoy her life or enjoy being with people because she was always looking at herself, criticizing herself, wondering if she was sounding right, sounding stupid, what were they thinking of her? And the sad part is she was surrounded by people who genuinely liked her. She just couldn't feel it. And as for dating, there was no way. She was not going to date until she lost at least 25 pounds. That's what her critic told her she had to do. Her inner critic was bad news. But the good news is Jordan learned to challenge it and change it. First, by understanding where it came from, and that helped her transform that rude voice into a friend. And that's what we're going to do together today. So first things first, notice, how do you talk to yourself? Because it is bad enough when someone else says hurtful things. It's even worse when those hurtful words come from within. Changing the way you talk to yourself is extremely powerful. And by the way, it's not just the words you use, but it's how you say them. Okay, so when Jordan's inner critic was in charge of her life, every morning she would get up, she would look in the mirror, and she would say to her reflection, "You are disgusting. You have no willpower. You are completely out of control and gross." Such a mean girl to herself. And notice how she said, you are disgusting to herself. So when I asked her to rephrase those statements using I instead of you, changing second person voice to first person, she hesitated. And then she was like, she couldn't do it. Just saying, I'm so disgusting, I'm completely gross, it seemed too harsh, whereas it was so easy to say when she was talking to herself in second person voice. It is easier to be mean to ourselves when we talk to ourselves in that second person voice. It is easier to be mean to ourselves when we talk to ourselves in that second person voice, when we use you to talk to ourselves instead of I. So consider if you say anything like this to yourself. You're not good enough. You're a complete failure. Oh, they don't like you. That is your inner critic talking right there. Using you when referring to yourself allows that critical voice to dominate your thoughts. But you have the power to change it. Because once we know, what did Maya Angelou said? We do the best we can until we know better. And when you know better, you do better. Love Maya Angelou. All right, so we're here to know better. So instead of saying all those you, ask yourself, what's going on with me? What do I need right now? What am I feeling? How am I doing? I believe in me. Tell yourself, I'm capable. I got this. I'm perfectly imperfect. I like me. How about that? By shifting you to I, you're taking ownership of your thoughts and feelings, which is a crucial step to self-compassion. And it's not just the words. It's also about the tone. Like Sam, who tried talking to himself in a nicer way, so he told me. He said he used all the right words, but he said it didn't work at all. I didn't feel any better. Nothing happened. No change whatsoever. So I asked him to repeat exactly what he had said to himself in the same way that he had said it. Let me reenact this. Sam said, "This is hard, but I'm going to get through it. I'll be okay." No wonder Sam didn't feel better. He sounded like he was at a funeral. Who would feel better? Would you say that to a friend? It's okay. You're going to get through it. You'll be okay. No. The same words have a completely different impact when spoken with warmth and encouragement, such as this. This is hard, but I'm going to get through it. I'll be okay. Same words, totally different feeling. A soothing tone can feel like a verbal hug. And when Sam started talking to himself with a kind tone, guess what? He felt better. Look at that. The power of words, the power of tone. And that inner critic, it does not appear out of nowhere. It comes from somewhere. Our inner critic often has roots in our childhood experiences, our family dynamics, our past relationships. It's from the past. It is haunting your present, but it comes from your past. So let's get back to Jordan. When she was in elementary school, she was picked on by the cool girls, as in the mean girls. And in middle school, that bullying got worse. And by high school, she felt so isolated that she actually left public school to be homeschooled. So those early experiences really undermined her trust, not just in people, but in her likable, lovable self. So even though she was back in school as a teacher in elementary school, where it all began, some part of her still felt like that kid who was bullied. And understanding the origin of this inner critic really allowed Jordan to approach herself with compassion. And she realized the negative voices in her head, they weren't truly hers. They were, well, actually it was, because only one voice just said a lot of different things. That negative voice, with all it had to say to her, it was an echo of the past. And that awareness was a huge turning point for her. So she could begin challenging those beliefs, replacing them with kinder, more realistic views about herself. She no longer saw herself as that third grade kid who was getting bullied that everyone somehow didn't like. She saw herself as the adult that she was. And then there's Ileana. Ileana constantly referred to herself as so stupid. I am so stupid. And whenever she was upset, she'd say she was just like being a baby. Why was she so stupid? Talk about being overly critical. She was super harsh. And through our work together, Ileana realized this stemmed from her older brothers teasing her in childhood. They called her names like stupid baby, stupid girl, because, they were brothers. That's what brothers do. And her parents never intervened. They thought, oh, kids are just being kids. They'll work it out, whatever. But Ileana interpreted their silence as agreement. So she believed her whole family thought she was stupid, and she accepted that as the truth. So by uncovering the roots of her self-criticism, Ileana started challenging them, stopped calling herself a stupid baby, and such an idiot, and such a stupid baby. All the things she would say to herself, which, words are powerful. When you say that to yourself, you feel bad. You feel bad. And then you might do something, by the way, to feel better that's not so healthy for you. But that's a whole other episode of turning your subconscious into your superpower. Ileana was able to see herself eventually through her own eyes, not through the distorted lens of the past. So again, understanding these origins really helps us approach our inner critic with compassion and curiosity rather than judgment, rather than just try to silence it. Just like, I will not be mean to myself, never works. But why am I mean to myself? Why power is really powerful. Why am I being mean to myself? Whose voice is that? Where did I learn that? That is helpful. This is not, by the way, about blaming our past, but about understanding it so we can move forward. It's explaining, not blaming. So how can we flip the script on negative self-talk? One effective approach is to reframe those critical thoughts in a different way. So instead of focusing on your perceived or real flaws, we all have flaws, or shortcomings, acknowledge your strengths and accomplishments. Give yourself some credit. So here's a quick exercise in self-compassion, which is really necessary to battle that inner critic. Think of a recent situation where your inner critic was particularly loud. What were the exact words it used? Take a moment to think about that, really hear that voice, and then reframe it into a compassionate statement. For example, if your inner critic said, "Oh my God, you're so lazy, you'll never achieve anything," you might reframe that as, "I deserve rest, and taking care of myself will help me be more productive later. I'm not being lazy, I'm taking care of myself." It might feel weird at first, like you're trying to force it, but with practice, reframing becomes more intuitive and it becomes your first voice. So here are some more examples of how you can flip the switch on that critic. Critical voice. "You're not good enough to take this on. You're never going to get this right." Instead, "I have the ability to learn new things. I have done it before. I've done my best. I'll do my best. I will keep trying until I get it right." Critical voice. Oh, this is one I hear a lot. "I'm never going to find a partner. I'm going to be alone forever." Instead, "I have had some bad experiences." Okay, maybe some very bad experiences. And I've also had some good experiences with people. "I'm going to keep putting myself out there until I find the right person for me. And I know they're out there. I just have to work harder to find them." Critic says, "You're so stupid. I can't believe you did that. I can't believe you said that. I can't believe blah, blah, blah." Instead, you know what? I might have said something stupid, but that doesn't mean I am stupid. I'm going to learn from this. I'll do better next time. When we are harsh and critical towards ourselves, we feel shame, guilt, depression, anxiety, self-doubt. That can lead us to unhealthy coping strategies like emotional eating, excessive shopping, or other self-destructive habits just to escape the inner critic. That is why it is so important to really challenge this critic, turn it into a friend, turn it into a coach. So here are some strategies to turn that self-criticism into self-compassion. One is treat yourself as you would a friend. If you wouldn't say it to someone you liked or loved, do not say it to yourself. This can be such a powerful gauge for how we speak internally. Like you'd never tell a friend, "You're such an idiot. What's the matter with you? Why can't you get it together? You're such a loser." If you wouldn't say it to a friend or someone you care about, a child, someone you love, someone you like a lot, if you wouldn't say it to them, do not ever, never, ever say it to yourself. Period. Done. With finality. Never. Again, use a soothing tone in your self-talk. Just as you saw from the example with Sam, it's not just what you say, but how you say it. Talk to yourself as you would someone you love and care about, not just with the words, but with the tone. Be nice, be supportive, be kind. So use a kind, understanding, warm, and loving tone with yourself. You deserve that. Also, practice empathy with yourself. Recognize everyone makes mistakes. Everyone faces challenges. When something bad happens or you do something bad or whatever, it doesn't mean anything about you as a person. It doesn't mean anything about you and your future. It just means you went through a hard time. You said something, you had a moment. Okay. We're all perfectly imperfect. Truly, truly. I used to say it's only an isosceles triangle that's perfect. Only in geometry is there perfection. And then my daughter, the teenage math genius, told me that an isosceles triangle is not, in fact, perfect. So, okay, I guess there is no perfection except maybe in geometry. We're all perfectly imperfect. That's what makes life interesting. That's what makes us interesting. So practicing these changes, changing these long-standing patterns, it takes time, it takes practice. Be patient with yourself, celebrate your small victories along the way, and remember that every step is taking you where you want to go. And speaking of steps, I think I've said this before, but I think it's worth hearing again. Consider how a baby learns to walk. They take a step, and what happens? They fall. They fall down inevitably. And nobody says, oh my God, that baby fell. That baby's never going to learn to walk. That baby's a total failure at walking. That baby will be crawling for life. That would be silly. We say no. You did that. You did it, baby. You did one step. Okay, get up. You can do it. Get back up. Do it again. Just one more step. You got this, baby. How about you do the same for yourself? You have the power to transform your inner critic into a supportive friend. So start today by paying attention to that self-talk, challenging those negative beliefs, and practicing self-compassion. Your future self will thank you for it. And by the way, I want to leave you with something else to do. Think of one small step you can make today to be kinder to yourself. Maybe it's writing down 3 things you appreciate about you. Maybe it's taking time to enjoy something you like doing, some hobby, without feeling guilty or lazy. Maybe it's buying a new outfit that actually fits, that you feel good in, not trying to fit your body into clothes that are too small. Or maybe it's encouraging yourself or acknowledging yourself for something. Whatever it is, commit to doing it today. By the way, I have a running coach. I'm learning to sprint. I'm the slowest sprinter around, but I'm learning to sprint. And he's always telling me what I'm doing well before moving on to what I can improve. So he'll say, oh my God, well, like your arm. Well, he actually doesn't say, oh my God. Sorry, Daniel. He'll say, your arm position was great. That was really, you did a great job with that. That was really good. Now let's work on your speed. It's so encouraging, right? So be a coach to yourself. Look at what you're doing well, and then go on to what you want to change. And that is our show for today. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey from hurting to healing. Next time, we'll explore why we get addicted and how to break free. You'll learn the hidden drivers of addiction, and I'll give you strategies to reclaim control. You do not want to miss that episode. Until then, I'm Dr. Nina Savelle-Rocklin, reminding you that your mind matters.